Good morning, good morning. Happy holidays. Hope you're all doing well. Not sure if it's going to be all that great today, but we'll give it a try. New 15's opening here in like 10 seconds. We are trading at previous day POC to value high on both NQ and ES. So it's at a pretty important area to see if we'll reject previous day value highs and then rotate through that range. Right, like if this rejects and then pushes below, then we'll have a nice target for a downside on both. Can't get over this. Probably head down to like ETH lows or something. I don't know. That's what I'm watching right now. Looks bearish to me if this continues to hold as resistance on both. Right. The liquidity is so bad on NQ. Let's see if we can get some continuation here under 60 though. Under 65 should lead to more downside. Go for these ETH lows. And then we look for this like 76 to 71 area as your central bounce point, I think. And then maybe we see a reoffer at 80 if we find a bounce here. Look into this and burn offer here and see if we can flip below, or if this is going to just come back up from here. Good bounce so far off our target. I'm just watching 63 this liquidity that we just put in here. See how we offer. I'd expect sell side to be there if we were gonna get another leg down. Same thing on ES at our 80. No, I didn't do anything. My family doesn't celebrate Christmas, so there's not much to do. What about you? Oh, that's nice. Sounds fun. Looks like we want to go back up to our breakdown to me. We'll see what happens here. But what I'm looking at is a baited our ETH low, rejection but higher low. And now we're trying again here at our edge for one more rotation. Back to previous day POC, it looks like to me, potentially. Just keeping an eye on this to see if we get another higher low bid. If we do, then I would assume that we're going to try to head back up to there. So keep an eye on that for recovery here. Same thing on ES at our 80 for a move back up to 84. See what they do here. I wish my family would play board games. It's like they think they're too cool for board games. They play like, I don't know, it's like Trivia Pursuit, like, or, you know, some like, oh, guess the flags, or like it's always like some sort of like trivia or brain game. I'm just like, I want to play a board game. Just let me ruin you in some strategy game or something. Please. Like, not everything has to be like what, yeah, I don't know. It's just, that's annoying. I'm just trying to have fun. Like, can't we just have some fun? Like, can't I just slap you in Uno and give you like 6 draw 4s? Yeah, like I've got that. Like why can't, I don't know. Like, not everything has to just be like flexing your useless knowledge. Like, I promise you, you can have fun. A lot of liquidity resting at 75 on ES. They're really trying to hold this low, but it's a big pivot. Gotta see what we're gonna do from here. Looking to see if we can make these higher lows absorb. What about poker? We played a lot of poker when my grandma wasn't in a facility, but she's kind of like losing her mind a bit hard. My grandma really likes poker, and I'll play that with her. But like again, it's not a board game. Like, I'm fine playing poker with them, but I'm much better than most of my family at that game, so it's not like all that fun. You know? It's like when you're like playing Call of Duty with your younger brothers and they're like they don't know the spawns, you know? Like it's fun, but not really. Yeah, you know, like it kind of feels like that at least. We just need to see which way this is gonna break, boys. If you didn't get in at the 76 low or the 43 low, you just gotta wait. I want to see if we get this secondary leg that we can play up, or if this is going to fail, and then that'll give us an actual, trade to play around. This NQ move is just our 30-second opening range low. I still think that this has potential for to bid, but we need to see if Russell's going to be able to hold this low or not. I think we're just waiting. We got really nice bounces where we thought we would, but then the market's kind of fizzled out since. Everything's basically just rejecting our 30-second opening ranges. And what we're wondering now is it going to lead to another move down, or are we just gonna like chop here, bounce again? I don't know. I'll be much more comfortable when ES flips this 70, 76 area and it holds our offer. Then we know that we'll start to lead down. I feel like if we flip this, we'll head down to like 52. That'd be my guess. If this low can't hold, then we'll rotate down into like this here. But if this low continues to hold, then it's just going to be where the bid rests, right? Like it's just is what it is. So I'll be watching for this is an offer if we look below and bounce there, and then playing around for this move, I think, down into 52. But if this continues to hold these lows, then I'm not sure if there's going to be anything that's all that great here. And again, it's the same thing on Russell. Like if Russell is going to just chop here between our two pivots, then like I said, like this could potentially be a low that's forming, but without clarification outside of the range, like it's just going to be kind of choppy. But we're holding our lows so far. It feels like this is kind of our risk right now, and we're just playing that up to here. But I don't think that this is a great trade as of right now. It's basically, it feels a little break even. I'm not gonna lie. On ES, I'd rather see us flip back over VWAP and then play around that for the long, where this will become our support, and then we can play this up into these highs on the flip of this downtrend, and our VWAP holding previous day value high is supportive. That would look good to me. Until then, right, like this just feels like downtrend's still intact, and like we could potentially just chop here. It's like, okay, yeah, could we play off of this low? Yeah, potentially, right? And this might just couldn't do something like this, but I don't know if playing around like this 4 points of chop right now is all that great. I don't know. not very exciting to me. Russell back into our pivot. Yes, into our pivot. NQ kind of in the middle of nowhere. Let's see if Russell can lead down. If it does, then we'll have a nice move, I think. Watching NQ hold our ETH low as resistance as RTY pushes down. Again, would love to see ES flip this previous state value low for me to care. If we can flip our pivots, we're in a good position, I think. If we just kind of like hold our pivots, then again, not much to do here other than look for buyers absorbing. You see what I mean? Like, we just gotta flip these, or this is just where buyers are gonna continue to absorb on these lows. And there's your full rotation on Russell with us with that low holding. Same thing with ES. And again, like I don't. You can try playing it, but again, like you kind of just have to play the zone as a whole, and I don't know if that's worth the risk for you right now. Like it just feels like a rotation right now until we can flip the pivot, which is fine, right? Like downtrend's still intact overall, but you're basically just chopping between until we figure out what we want to do. So that's why I think like it's fine to try to play this as your risk, but looking for the short on the look below previous day value and then the rotation down is going to be a much better short. And then looking for the long, above is going to be a much better long when we can flip our previous day value high. Until then, right, just going to chop here while we hold our higher time frame downtrend. Excuse me. So there's your full rotation. If you're playing off of our given lows, do you guys see what I'm saying about how this is just like a rotational balance until we can flip these? So like you can play off of this as your zone, and that works, right? But like there's no short until we flip. It's just where we look for absorption. This is your target here into 85s on NQ, as well as actually 85s on ES as well. If we can flip this, then we'll have more, but we gotta get over these pivots for this to matter. It's literally the same trade on both, which is interesting. NQ and ES are trading very similar today. Like even structurally, interesting. Right, we're trading right into our previous day POC to value high on both. And that's your target until we can flip. If we can look above and hold, awesome. That'll give you your secondary leg. Same thing on NQ, right, and ES. It's like literally been a while since we've seen a structural hold that's the same. But we've got this really nice node here with POC on the daily, as well as our VWAP holding as resistance on both. If we can flip these, then we'll go for a secondary leg, or we'll see a look above, fail, and then another rotation through our range. That's given, right? So we just play around that as our pivot, and that gives us our trading idea. Same thing with our lows. This is either going to be a look in and then fail for rotations up, or a look below and hold for the rotation down. This is a crazy. Hello? What? End of an era. So you can see our balance highs are holding as resistance. It's just a balance rotation until we flip one of these pivots. Just gonna move things over. It's the truth, isn't it? Because they're going seasonal now, so that would be season 2. But it's not a great look for anyone who wants to make fun of One Piece. For it just gives so much justification. Like Mario is going to use that against you forever. Season 1's 1,000 episodes. Holding our mid so far on our ranges. Again, not much to talk about. If Russell wants to hold, then we can potentially see a continuation up. So far, just holding our mid of our balance and rejecting our highs again. Not much to talk about until we can flip these. I need to see clear flips of our higher pivot here. If we're going to bounce and then look above and hold, then we can do this upper rotation. Until then though, right? Like we're seeing our sell side try to sit here. We're watching to see if we look above and then fail, then rotate back through like we have drawn, or if we can flip and hold on our highs. For the breakout and hold, this is what we want to see, right? We want to see the ability to not have to retrace the entire range. We want to be able to see these higher lows and then the look over, right? Like this looks like it has potential, but we still need to see the look above. It's like nothing has changed there, but we want to see these higher lows, right? We want to see this bid, and then we want to see this pop over. That is good. It's a good first step. Russell leading. Let's see if we can flip on ES and NQ, or if this is still going to just maintain. And again, this is previous day POC to value high that we're looking to flip on NQ and ES. Russell coming into view up. Holding POC on open new 15s. This is where we have to be very careful to see if we get a look above and fail at our highs, or if we're going to be able to flip, keeping an eye on Russell at our pivot, as well as ES and NQ into the top of our balances here. If we can flip over previous day value highs and hold, we're in a good position, but we should expect prices to, our bids to try to be here at our 79s on NQ, and we want to see a flip over our 90s and then a secondary buyer step in like we have drawn. Or this is where we'll look below, and then we will offer below 80s again for that rotation back through off of a failure at our highs. Same thing on ES at this 84 to 87. Need to flip and hold, with ideally Russell following suit, right? As soon as we found that RTY low into our pivot, we were able to continue higher. If this fails here into our highs and Russell gets back into our range, then we have a full rotations back down, potentially. Offer sitting at 86 on ES, 378 contracts there. Again, this is our top of range. We're watching to see if we've looked above, and then we're going to rotate through, or if we can flip above and hold, just like we have drawn on NQ. Remember, this is where people are going to be risking off from their hold of the lows. So we know that there's a seller sitting here, and now we're watching to see if they're going to reject us and rotate us through, or if we're going to actually be able to build here, continuing to maintain these higher lows with full market participation. Testing our pivot here on RTY, trying to hold. ES and NQ trying their best, pushing into that 86 offer on ES. See if Russell can do it. I think the Russell should lead directionally. RTY is still not being able to break highs. We gotta wait for that before we can really test these pivots on NQ and ES. They are attempting to hold, but we want to see Russell be able to flag here and pop above. Or this is going to just continue to be pretty two-sided. Offer sitting at 90.5 on NQ. ES offers moved up to 89, which could be our magnet if we can hold here. But again, we need to see Russell follow through for this move to make sense. Or we're just gonna accumulate here before a decision's made, leading to a potential trap. We want to see a very clear bid. For secondary buyers. Watching our retest on RTY here. Now that we've failed the look above, we're just watching to see if these pivots are going to maintain or not. It's literally it. We are watching this pathing right now on ES. Look above and then look back in. Same thing on Russell. We're watching our pivots. NQ, nothing really to talk about. Just flat while we wait. But it is very important to watch for our reoffer now on ES as well as Russell. If they're going to lead down off of failures at highs. Again, we need to see the look above and hold for this to make sense, or this is just going to be the top of our range and then we will rotate back down off of it, right? Your 1-to-1 is just going to be to the middle, right? That is a 1-to-1. And then you have a full range rotation potential if we come back down to our lows. If we can't get over our pivot. It's just a rotation. We need to see a look above and hold for this to make sense for secondary buyers. RTY looking above, keep that in mind. And key flat. Reoffering our 84s. Sell side sitting there so far. Russell looking over. NQ flat at our pivot, still holding, no change. RTY leading, NQ flipping, ES still flat at 84s. Again, from 84 to 80 is just a 1-to-1 risk to reward right now until we can flip the pivot. If we continue to just maintain at 80s and then flip over 88, then I think upside feels pretty likely, but you're just stuck in the range on ES. There's nothing else here while we wait. What we want to see is a continued hold of this and then a flip above. That's fine. But again, like this is a 1-to-1 risk to reward. You're risking the same amount as you're willing to take off. I hope that makes sense. Again, this is just 84 to 80 and 84 to 88, right? It's a 1-to-1 risk to reward with potential for a full rotation down. But if we can continue to hold here and we flip over that 88, then we go up, not down would be my guess. 4 points of risk, 4 points of profit. We need to see if we're going to be able to flip above or not. If it continues to fail, then there's nothing else here. In my opinion, we're range bound on ES. Watching Russell retest the pivot to see if we get our next leg. If this can hold and then pop, then potentially we'll have that ignition for the mid hold on ES and then the rotation over 88s for another leg while NQ sideways. But we got to see that. We want to see the market moving together for real moves. Watching our pivot here on Russell as we push back in. Again, need to flip over this 84, 88 on ES, or this will be where the offer sits. NQ starting to lead up, but we want to see Russell bounce here if it's going to continue. Retesting our pivot off of a failure at our highs. Retesting breakout. See if NQ can hold here as we push above. We want to see a very clear bounce on Russell with this NQ look above. Should be able to get to at least 910 here, making this a decent risk to reward, even if Russell doesn't get the big move that we want. This is target 1 on NQ at 910 off of our pivot hold on Russell, as well as our risk here at our 90 to 80 on NQ. It's rotating up. Next target would be 930. No change on ES as of yet. Need to flip over this 84 to 88 for anything to result out of this on ES. But this is just our opening range high on NQ. Again, it's a great risk off. If we can flip over 910s, 930 seems very likely for another 20 points. And then above that would be 960. Rory, have you bought any games from the winter sale? This is first target here on ES into 80 to make your trade risk free. 1-to-1 risk to reward, 4 points. I just saw this. Might be something in here. I bought Enshrouded and Core Keeper. So far. The numbers, these numbers, Fudge? It's a footprint candle, so those are the deltas at each price point for the bar. I like that this website shows historical low, Rory. That's good. You know if it's like actually a real sale or not. With our NQ flipping, this is now just a offer through, right? This now becomes your risk. This is your first target here into our mid for a 1-to-1 risk to reward with potential for rotations fully through. That should be obvious off of the failure at our highs. Now we're watched to see how we interact here into our lows. And that's full on ES. If we can flip, amazing, right? We get more, but this should be your first, sorry, your secondary risk off here into the low of our range. We are continuing to just rotate this until we can flip below and hold like we've talked about already. You now have a almost a 3-to-1 risk to reward, and you did your 1-to-1 as your first risk off. I really hope that you can see. I'm trying to show this in both. Right, your first risk off makes this trade free. Your runner then makes this trade a 3-to-1, which is great. If we can look below, then we get a nice secondary move down to our 53 area, would be my guess. But we should have another entry for it off of a bounce at 68, and then we'll look at this as our reoffer. And this will either result in a look below and hold, which is great, right? Or it'll be a look below, fail, then we trap these guys, and then we'll rotate back over 76, allowing for us to get back in and then playing this as our risk. Right, and this will create another 1-to-1 risk to reward. Based off of our low hold, we'll be looking for our target to make this 1-to-1, right? Into the mid. So if you have 2 contracts and you sell one, that means that if it comes fully back on you on that last contract, the trade is then a scratch. It's risk free. Does that make sense? Why I'm so like adamant about this 1-to-1 thing? You buy 2 contracts, you sell one at your first target, that makes the trade free, and then if you get stopped out, then it doesn't matter. You could even take off 2 contracts at your first target, and then your trade will always be profitable, right? Because if you've taken off 2, then you have 1 runner. You leave that runner to either go to next target and continue onwards, or the trade then goes back down to your stop, and then you have a slight profit because you've taken off 2 contracts instead. So just like always keep in mind like how you're risking and why it makes sense to be taking off into first targets, because we never know if we're going to get the full moves. Playing within your leverage and understanding where it makes sense to actually take off makes it's going to change the success of your account dramatically. Just like very small changes like that. Like, oh, I was right, but we didn't go to the full target, but I am greedy and I didn't want to take off, and now it's fully come back on me, and now I'm down. Like, okay, well, that's clearly just a issue of execution. So let's practice some easy execution tweaks, right? That will make us profitable and also save our account from bad decisions. Just take 1-to-1 and then leave a runner. Retesting our edge here on NQ, retesting our mid here on ES. If you're playing the long off the low, this is your first risk off for it to be 1-to-1. And again, like just like we talked about with the look above, we want to see the mid hold as resistance or supportive, depending on the directional decision we're looking for. So like if we're going to be able to maintain, right, we want to see ES hold this ideally as resistance and not have to come all the way back up if we're going to do another leg down. That's your first clue that it's going to come down. Because if we want to see the offer lowering itself, right? Lowering, holding lower highs. So that channel down. So if we can hold our mid, it's a good sign that sell side wants to step in for the rotation down for that leg below. If we do the full rotations, then it's just telling us that there's no change in our balance as of yet, right? There's no directional decision. And that's fine, right? We'll just trade in balance. That's it. That is an okay thing to happen. But you need to be aware of the context that the market gives you to let you know what you should be doing. If we want to continue to just rotate on a Friday on a holiday weekend, I totally respect that. But don't look for more then if we're not getting any context telling us that we're going to get more. That's the whole point I'm trying to get at. So if we hold our mid here after testing our highs and then we bounce here, that's a great sign that we want to then continue upwards. Just like if we from our lows hold our mid and then rotate down, that's a great sign that sell side is trying to move or shift value, just like we would be looking for it at the highs, right? So just keep that in mind. Like it's like the market gives you context about what we're looking for. And if it, 90% of the time it does. Sometimes shit happens where, someone's going to just sweep through and it's illiquid and we're not going to get, the exact movement that we want. But, 90% of the time we do, and you can play around that. There's always going to be an outlier, but I'm always going to play off of those odds. It just makes sense to play contextually. So right now, what do we have? Well, we have NQ looking above, coming down to our mid of our range, right? And now retesting our highs off of a hold of our mid. So we really, 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 really need to see an active buyer step here on NQ now and then flip us back above this if this is going to continue to be bullish, or this is just going to be a look back in, a hold of our offer, and then we'll look for that secondary with a rotation down. That will then lead to a full rotation of our range, and then we'll look for this as a retest of our mid for a continuation down, because then we have trapped sellers, and then we've seen the offer shift. That'll give me the context that I need. Right now, we know that there's a bid at the mid, and now we're watching to see if that'll flip back up to the highs off of sell-side failure. This is very important contextually where we are, because this is letting us know if this offer has shifted down and these buyers are now trapped, or if they are, then we look for sellers here. If they can hold, then we're going to be looking for that rotation to break these lows. We want to see that the offer is shifting downwards. What is important is that this seller gets gets pushed through, right? And then we see an active bid step up above them if we're going to look long. This level is just super important, and the reaction that we see based off of our sellers trapped here in the mid now, or buyers trapped here into the high, right? What happens here tells us which way we should go based off of, what happens. I hope this makes sense. I don't know. And you guys are always so quiet when I explain stuff like this. I don't know if I'm just talking to myself or not. It's annoying. Yeah, I mean, like the look above and then the failure and then the look back into the range is super important contextually, because like we wouldn't expect a seller or a buyer to be sitting in the mid if we were going to maintain balance, right? that is showing us that they're willing to buy at a higher price or willing to sell at a lower price. And if they're doing that, right, what does that mean? Well, they expect us to then go lower or higher, right, outside of the range. So it's a huge contextual clue when we don't do full rotations and we hold where we are and then we look back above or look back below, right? Depending on the direction that we're going. But like watching where that offer is moving or watching where that bid is moving up to is giving you a huge clue of the area that we need to be able to flip for that continuation, right? As soon as we start to see someone who's offsides, but like we need to be paying attention to them outside of balance. We need to be paying attention to where these pivots are going to be because that's giving us our trade plan of how we should be approaching an area. And then if we're using that same idea of, taking 2 or 3 contracts and risking off at 1-to-1, right? We can trade these ranges at our edges pretty risk-free. And then we just allow it to play. And then we can then either, with our remaining contract, be like, okay, well, this clearly isn't going to break out because we haven't seen a shift of our offer or our bid. And we can take off the full risk if need be, or we can just let it run. But like, you can always add to a position if we see that contextual shift, because then it makes sense to add. You have a reason that isn't just emotional. You have a mechanical reason that you can play around. But like, always be thinking within context of your checklist of like, what causes a breakout? What causes a breakdown? What causes a failure, right? Do we have someone who's trapped? Are buyers or sellers stepping up? Or stepping down, right? Like those are the things that are actually going to get you out and get you out of those emotional trades where you're like, fuck, I was wrong on both edges. Well, it's like, no, you're trading emotionally. You're not looking at what's happening mechanically, and you're not realizing that like you could have been profitable still. Like playing off of this 84 is a profitable trade if you're taking 1-to-1 and then allowing a runner to run. Like, you don't need full movements to make money. You just have to understand where your risk is, where these people are participating. Trade around them. Remember, like, our job is to take crumbs off of the whales, right, that actually move the market. Your one lot doesn't move the market. But if you can figure out where they're trading, then you can make money. It might not be the millions of dollars that you want to make in a single trade. That's fine. But it adds up. Just can't be a greedy asshole. If you don't understand, just ask questions, man. I'd be more than happy to break things down. It's the only way you're going to learn is by asking questions so that I can show you. If not, then you're going to learn the hard way, which is by making the mistakes over and over and over again until you actually, take the time to go over your own trades and be like, oh yeah, I'm an idiot. Or, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like, I should have done this. Why did I close there? Why did I try to buy there? Going back and looking, right? Like, it's the only way you're ever going to learn. If you don't do that, you're going to continue to make the same mistakes over and over again because you're not even realizing what you're doing wrong. Lord. Well, you don't even need to do extra contracts, Fudge. You just need to switch from 1 mini to 10 micros so that you can average out. It's literally like the only change you need to make. You need the ability to de-risk, right? 10 micros equate to 1 mini. So if you can now take off 5 minis at first contract, at your first risk off, then when it comes fully back on you, the trade is risk free, right? Because you have 5 left and you're taking a 1-to-1 on your first risk off, then the trade is free. So you can then de-risk and then lots of 1 or 2, and then you have the ability to then have 3 targets with 1 contract. You're trading 1 micro? Man, it's gonna be really rough just trading 1 micro. I mean, you can definitely do it, but you have to, if you're only trading 1 contract, you have to be willing to hold for longer, in my opinion. And your risk has to be a bit larger because you don't have the ability to leave that runner, right? So you have to be looking for larger risk to reward trades if you're only trading 1 contract, because it has to be worth your risk. It has to be worth that exit that you actually take. So you're either getting stopped out on a single contract or it's going to your target. So you can't really do like 1-to-1 with 1 contract. It just doesn't make sense, like, statistically. You would have to be looking for a higher RR. So you have to either reevaluate the areas that you're looking to trade around to make those breakout, only be looking for like higher ranked setups, right? Like only looking to be trading, A plus or A setups. And it's like, okay, well, what's an A setup? Okay, well, there's the work that you need to do, right? Which is like figuring out what the setups that usually make you money are by going back and reviewing your trades or going through our classes where we've taught setups that we find that are very good. And then only looking for that setup because you only have 1 contract. So you want to be only putting risk on when you have setups that you're very confident in. If not, right, then you want to be looking to, if you're trading B or C setups and you're looking for like just range plays, then you can trade more often, right? But you're going to have smaller stops with less, with more incremental targets. Right, like you can trade a range, but you play your edge, and then you can take off. You can trade 2 micros instead. Take 1 off at 1-to-1, and then your second is either break even stop or goes to secondary target. And you can trade like that, but your risk parameters change. If you're only changing 1 contract, your risk parameters have to be different than if you were going to trade multiple, sorry. Got distracted. I don't know, like these are things that you guys like actually need to do the math on. Like if you don't know how many trades you can take before your account blows up based off of your risk, like you're not setting yourself up for success. Like I'm saying it. Like you're trading blind if you don't know how much money you can lose and how many trades it's going to take you to lose set amount of money. Like you're trading blind. Well, I mean, it's not a grind. Like I'm not trying to be mean, and I'm trying to be real with you here. If you're not putting in the work at the base, it's going to be hard to do the more. Like you have to build out your foundation, and your foundation is understanding risk to reward. It's understanding probability. It's understanding what you can actually do, and how many trades it's going to take. Before you blow up, right? Like, what are even my chances to make money? If you don't even know your chances of how many times you have the ability to try before it's over, like that's a problem in itself, because then you don't know what you can actually what you can risk. Like if you haven't done the math on your prop account of how many trades you can take and be wrong in a row, and you're expecting to be able to take a payout, like you're gonna have a bad day because you don't even understand what you can risk. You're just hoping that the trade goes your way and you make enough money where you then don't have to worry about that, right? It's a lotto, it's a scratcher. And without that context, it's going to be very hard for you to approach a market methodically, right? And this isn't something that like you have like is going to take you a lot of time or it needs to be overwhelming. Like you literally just need to break down how many points can I risk per contract, and how many contracts can I take, and how many times can I be wrong in a row. That's literally it. Because if you don't have that information, it's going to be very hard for you to approach a market and feel like you can be wrong. But being wrong is part of the process, right? Like that, it's incredibly important. Like you can't be right 100%. And so if you're if being right 100% of the time is in your calculations of how you're going to win, then you are setting yourself up for failure. If you aren't trading with the idea that you're going to be wrong 50% of the time and equating for that in your leverage that you're trading, then you are setting yourself up from failure before you even press a button. Right? Be realistic. Right? And if you're not setting yourself up for that 50% failure, right, and being able to survive the next day, then you need to be understanding that like you're going to be buying multiple accounts, and it's okay, right? You don't have to win 50% of the time to make money with prop accounts. You can play high leverage and play high higher tier setups that don't have a 1-to-1 or risk to reward, right? Like if you're only taking setups that allow for a 3 or 4-to-1 RR, you can put more leverage on and buy multiple accounts and play it that way, where you're only taking setups that you think have the ability to go right, to run, and it's either you're very right or you're very wrong immediately, and you can do that. And there are people who play that and they abuse that, and that's the people that you see on Twitter, and that's perfectly fine. But understand what you're trading and how you trade, right? Like don't pretend to be something that you're not. If you don't want to trade and compound, and have smaller risk and build an account slowly, then don't pretend to be that guy, right? If you want to be trading and putting on high risk and high leverage for your account type, then understand that you're going to blow up, and sometimes you're going to be really right and sometimes you're going to be very wrong, and that's going to equate into you blowing up accounts. Does that mean that you can't take a payout? No, right? But it means that part of the process for you is going to have multiple accounts, and some accounts are going to get blown, and that's just, it is what it is. But the first step is understanding what kind of trader you are and what you're trying to be, right? And what kind of trades you're willing to take and what kind of risk you can put on and what that means for your account. Don't lie to yourself. It's going to be very hard to be profitable if you lie yourself from the get-go, you know? This is one of those things where you need to be incredibly honest. It's the only way it works. Honest with yourself, right? Because this is one of those things where you have to be accountable. I mean, even a monetary value of risk doesn't make sense always. Because, like, it's okay. Okay, you have to think about it like this. You can, if you're going to have a monetary value of what you're willing to risk per trade, that you need to have a take profit that makes sense, where risking $100 per trade is going to come out net positive based off of, a certain percentile win rate, right? So like there's now a new chart that you have to create for yourself, which is, if I'm risking $100 and I have a 75% win rate, what do I need to where do I need to be taking profit to be profitable as a trader, right? Because if you're risking $100 per trade and you have a 50% win rate, but you're taking profit, at $50 in profit, you're a negative trader, right? You have a 0.5 risk to reward. Does that make sense? So you have to figure out mathematically what your win rate has to be and how large of a profit target you need to be, where you need to be taking profit for that to make sense. Like, if you lose 50% of the time, but you're not taking, profit at $150 on average for your trades, it's going to be very hard for you to be profitable. So like, only risking $100 is great, but like, if you're trading over and over and over again and you have a 30% win rate, like, you're never going to be profitable. So it's just like one part of the equation. You need to know like what kind of trades you're taking, be much more cognizant of that, right? Understand what your average win rate is, understand where your average profit, where your average target is, and break that down. Like a lot of you are just like not willing to do the basic work, and so you are forever screwed because you don't even know that like you could have a 70% win rate, but you're so scared of being in the right side of a trade that you take profit too early. And so even when you're right, your account is still going to go down because you don't risk off fast enough, but you don't risk off on your losers fast enough, but you risk off on your winners much faster. So even when you're right, you're wrong overall because your losers are draining your account faster than your winners are building your account. Right? If I have like 3 losing trades and I'm losing $100 on all of those trades in a row, but then on my one winner, right, I've only taken $50 or $100 in profit, like I'm still net negative. So you have to find trades that are going to add up to make you positive based off of different win rates. And if you're, yeah. Like these are like these are like very basic concepts, but like are incredibly important to understand and give you confidence as a trader to know like, oh, like, yeah, like losing is part of the process. And if I'm not, if I'm not accounting to lose in the equation of how I'm treating my account, right? Like you're setting yourself up for immediate failure because you're never going to be 100% right. Never. And if you're not equating for that loss, then you're actually shooting yourself in the foot before you even start. Like you're already bleeding out. That's why the journaling is so important, is because you're figuring out where you succeed, right? Where you're successful. And it is also telling you where you have your largest struggles. Understanding the periods of time, right, as soon as you start journaling, of where you're very successful and the periods of time where you're really awful, right? And then that's like your first step of like, oh, okay, like I'm terrible at trading these hours. So avoid those fucking hours, right? Now you're cutting out all those bad trades. It's like, oh, I'm very good between 10 to 12, but after 12, I start losing dramatically and start making poor decisions. Okay, well, trade 10 to 12 then, bud. And then you've just taken out half of your losses. Lock yourself out, and now focus and refine on those 2 hours into your new trading window, right? Figure out what's successful in those 2 hours then, right? Continue to break it down. Break down your trades. Break down the areas where you're successful. Eliminate as many bad trades and potential areas where you are going to struggle as possible, right? Refine your zone, refine your edge until it's a super sharp sword, right? You're refining until you have just a couple setups, a couple trades, and you understand your risk to reward, and then you're executing within those parameters. Then all of a sudden you actually have something to play around. Without that, right? Like you're just gambling. And that's like that's fine, but understand that. You can be successful and just gamble, but go into it understanding that. And understand that the risk is so much higher within that position than actually like building out your edge. I don't know. That's all I'm trying to get at here. So I want you guys to know that like why the work is what important and what you get from it. As we chop and balance, at least we're having a good conversation. Yeah, I mean, there's no reason not to. And again, like, just go over your, like, the performance tab is so easy to build a baseline off of because it's giving you your win rate, right? And then you can then refine the trades that you're taking, understanding what your current win rate is. Again, like, the easiest math you can do for yourself is just understanding how much money you need to be risking and what your what your profit target needs to be profitable at a certain win rate. Right? Like, that's the first math that you do for yourself. It's like, if I have a 50% win rate and I'm risking $100 per trade, how many trades in a row am I going to blow up my account, right? But also, what does my average win rate need, or what does my average take profit have to be for that to be profitable at at a given percentile win rate? Like, you have to be able to do that. You have to know that. That's just common sense. Here, Fudge. This is a basic, make a copy of this spreadsheet to get like a basic calculator, but you should be able to break this down a bit better for yourself. But here's like a basic risk to reward calculator. Same as before, this is your first target, 1-to-1 risk to reward, playing off of our NQ pivot. Back to our mid. NQ holding our mid is, ES holding our mid is resistance, just pushing further down. Again, we need to flip our lower pivot here and then hold it as resistance for another leg, but it is a good first contextual clue that we held our mid as resistance, just like we talked about. We still need to see the flip and hold where the offer shifts to where this buyer is currently at our green zone. But with the hold of our mid, what is that telling us? Well, it's telling us that the offer is attempting to move down, to step down from our highs, right? We're seeing that downtrend attempting to form. Our context is starting to show up, but we still need to see that look below and then that offer, or we're still just rotating. But it's a great first clue as we push down. Still just within balance, but it's attempting. For NQ enjoyers, again, just at our pivot, we are into first target. We need to see this flip, and then we need to see this rotate below following our downside pathing if this is going to play where this goes offer, our mid goes offer, just like on ES, and then we'll look for that flip below where mid holds as resistance. Until then, this has to be your first risk off because this is our middle of our range where our buyer was last. We need to see this buyer become our seller if we're going to go down further. Dear Lord. We need to see a lot more at these lows for them to be convincing of a breakdown continuation. I'd like to see a push down into 67 and then a better reoffer like we have pathed. We continue to just sit here, we can eat up sell side into these lows and then see a secondary buyer step in from that absorption back above our range for full rotations back up, right? So we want to be very careful here. We want to see a very clear sweep below and then a lower offer from that sweep. If we just kind of stagnate here, that's not exactly exuding confidence that we want to continue down. So as of right now, right, we're just kind of absorbing into these lows. NQ seller very clearly sitting here into this like 55, 58 area, right? And as long as we're maintaining below 70s, I think that there's definitely potential for at least a rotation down to 35, just with us like holding below this POC to value, right? We're very clearly seeing sell side trying to step down below value of previous candle, which is great if we can continue to hold that. But if it continues to stagnate here and we pop back over this POC to value, I would expect that these guys into our lows are going to get stuffed, and then we'll rotate and then have to redo this entire thing again. So it's just really important that we have that context of what's happening compared to our last candle. Are we maintaining our value? Is our offer maintaining below POC, right? And where are we headed? So right now, again, we have all of that context. We're holding our value of our previous candle as resistance. Sell side is trying to shift value down, but it is very slow. And until we see that sweeper step in and then a secondary seller step in after that sweeper to just show a bit more confidence in the move, it can go really either way here into our lower edge. We need to see sell side slam this thing and then retest it if we're going to keep going. It's fine to be in runners. I'm in runners, looking for continuation down, but I understand that if we stagnate here, the bid will win out and we will do a full rotation back up. I'm personally not looking to add to my short until we get this push lower and then our reoffer of this area. I'm just staying in runners from these highs. There's nothing else that I'm personally looking to do until we figure out what we want to do at these lows a bit more. Again, I'm looking for this move into this 65 to 67 area, and then I want to see a very clear reoffer of this area as resistance to add to my position, or I just expect that these lows are going to maintain, and then we're going to rotate back up, and nothing's going to change in our balance off of a very stagnant low without that sweeper down. Yep. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Like I said, it's just balance. So, like, this is what I've done, Zeno, just to give context again, before you head out, right? Like, just as long as this is maintaining, I will short and do the rotations down. But I'm not looking for that secondary leg until we look down into here, and then we re-offer this area very clearly, and then we can look for that continuation. Until then, like, this low is just a risk off for a potential for us to then just rotate fully back up to stop us out. Now that we've taken out lows, right? We have to have that context of like that lost momentum down here. There's a potential where we just stuff and then the bid steps back in, rotating us back up. I'm not trying to execute here. I'm trying to execute into here. And then we're taking risk off into our edge. It's the only thing that makes sense. We've already defined balance, so like, what the hell else am I gonna do? You know? You have a good rest of your day. I'm not gonna be here for too much longer either. It's very clear that we're just balanced. Any plans? No. Just not be here on my computer playing Chop. It's my plan. I probably will. I don't know, man. I need to catch up on shows. I'm behind on so many things. I kind of want to just like go lay on the couch with a heated blanket and decompress, to be honest. But we'll see. What show did Rory recommend? Oh, Plurbius. How many episodes did you watch, Grota? You've seen as many as I have. Yeah, Slow Horses is good, but it's definitely not for everyone. The new Fallout show came out, first 2 episodes. That's decent. I haven't watched the new Witcher or the new Stranger Things. I don't know. There's a lot of anime that I need to catch up on, like an entire season of every show. I just dropped everything. I don't know, I'm just trying to be cozy today, I think. It's crazy. We had snow like for the last month every day, and then when it comes to Christmas, all the snow melts. So just makes no sense. Feels bad. Didn't even feel like Christmas without a white without any snow. No white Christmas, just like doesn't feel real. Yeah, it's crazy. It kind of ruins it, doesn't it, Mikey? Let's see if we can flip here, guys, on ES. This failure, if we fail to flip and hold, could be good for an actual short context-wise. Like if these buyers up here can't sustain, then we can play the reoffer that's given for a nice secondary leg down. We want to see like a pretty clear sustained bid. And again, it's like a full rotation on NQ again. Same offer. So we're watching to see if Southside's going to be able to flip this or not. Watching to see if we get a bid on EOS. Or if these guys are going to get pushed off sides and then we flip back below, allowing for this 70 to actually be our offer. Again, it's in our buyer's court right now to try to maintain this push back up. Right, so they are going to try to flag this, and sell side is going to try to trap them. And then we'll be watching to see if they can flip this below. That gives us then a catalyst for this continuation to be valid. Gordo, now that you've watched the first 2 episodes, what do you think is going to happen for the rest of the show? Like, how do they make it a show? That's my question. Because Rory watched the first 2 episodes as well, and then I don't know if he watched more. Like, I wasn't mad at the first 2 episodes, but I also have no clue where else they could go with it. Oh, episode 5? Is it good, Rory? Was it worth continuing? Did they do anything new? Alright, nope. Yeah, but she was going crazy from literally episode 1. Bro, that's the main character. How can you dislike the main character and continue watching? She's kind of cute. Grotto, man. You're so funny. I mean, everyone's got their match, you know? You just like miserable people. That's good. You're taking one for the team. I don't know if that's true. I hope it's true for your sake. I hope so. Do I have any shows, dude? I don't know. I don't watch anything right now. That's why I need a day to just catch up. I don't know. Yeah, I'm just like absolutely grinding audiobooks while I do work. Absolutely. I don't know, man. Just maybe you just haven't listened to a book that's good enough, you know? That's like holding your attention. Have you seen the that study of those kids with ADHD who are watching a math video and then watching the Star Wars and like how during the math video they can't stop moving and then during Star Wars they're locked in? Maybe that's you, just you need a better book, you know? What am I listening to right now? I am listening to the beginning after the end, the novels. I read the manhwa, but I've been caught up on it forever, and they're on hiatus. So I started to actually read the books that the manhwa is based off of, and they're very good. That was one of the ones that I recommended to you. Yeah, the books are great, but it's actually insane. I really wanted. I started it just to be like, I wonder how accurate it is to the comic, and like, it's insane how like true to the comic they are. The comic does such a great job. I was very surprised. You're on iPhone or Android? Oh, paperback, so probably iPhone. Yeah, it's hard. Oh yeah, it's insane. I've been trying to get my hands on one for so long. I'm like about to switch over to like some garbage Mint Mobile or something. I'm like grandfathered in on my Verizon plan, and so it has to be worth. But if I could actually get one and it would work on all of the bands, I would do it in a second. No, I would have to switch to just Mint Mobile so that I can have an international SIM. The problem with those phones is that you wouldn't have access to all of the bands that we use in America. So like your service inside your house would probably be really terrible. It's hard with international phones because they block some of them. Like it's not just like a singular like channel or band, I guess is band is the proper term. So you have like a bunch of them that Sims have access to based off of like the cellular towers, and the international phones don't have access to as many. So your service might not be as good. Yeah, I mean that makes sense because you're on Mint, you're just sharing the T-Mobile towers, right? So you're just basically getting T-Mobile but for cheaper. Do you like your OnePlus, Sam? I was thinking about grabbing it, but I don't know. I need a new phone. I really want a flip phone, to be honest. I want something small. I'm sick of these bulky phones, man. But I'm afraid that it's not gonna last. That's my biggest problem with that's why I've been so indecisive about getting a new one. It's because I feel like if I get a flip, then it's not gonna last me as many years as I want it to. I just want something small. I'm sick of these bricks. Oh yeah, yeah. The Xiaomi EVs are nuts, and it makes sense because like they have the ability to like have everything so connected is just such a game changer. But you know, in the US, that it would be absolutely awful if like Apple or Google had a car because everything would be a service. And you'd have like subscriptions for every single thing of how greedy we are. It'd be miserable. But yeah, it's sick. The Xiaomi car is so cool. Oh, I didn't know they made a $300 OnePlus phone. That sounds decent. I see. I mean, 300 is super competitive because then you're basically paying the same price as those Amazon phones that have like the ads on them. But OnePlus doesn't have any of the bloat, I'm assuming. Yeah. I've been thinking about it. I usually hold on to mine until it's unusable, personally. But then it's like always like a quick dash to try to find something. So I would try to plan ahead because I know like when it breaks, I need to be ready to get one instantly, and I don't want to make the wrong decision. I was really hoping we were gonna get this secondary leg before I dip. I was hoping for it. I'm still hoping for it, but I don't know how much longer I'm gonna last. Zen phone by Asus. I didn't know Asus made phones. Oh, I guess they had that ROG phone. I forgot about that thing. Wait, there's like 7 of them. What? I see. Can we please get the next leg so I can leave? I mean, I just assume that Apple is forever just copying something that an Android phone is doing and then trying to perfect it, and then 5 years later they come out with it and call it their own. So I'm not even gonna fact check on you. I just believe it to be true. It's their MO. Yeah, I hope so. I never understood why people wanted them. Wait, Rory, Luffy hasn't been in the manga for the last 6 months. That's crazy. What? This entire for the last 6 months, it's been a flashback. That's crazy. You've got so much patience to read that. I don't know how you do it. I mean, that makes sense. I'd expect as much. But no, you didn't. I haven't heard anything about your Japan trip. Oh, damn. You got that COVID 2.0? What do you have, like pneumonia? Like what's going on? I have pneumonia. All right. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I want to sit here, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is holding our lows so far. I don't know. Let's see what happens. All right, we have 50 seconds until new 15, so I'm not gonna give up yet. Maybe we pop off of the new 15. But if we don't, like, I'm probably out of here, and then we'll come back Monday. We'll come back next week and reevaluate. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It's a Friday on a short week, holiday week. We got a couple of nice rotations though. It's a positive day. It's just really boring. No. You have to remember that like a lot of I think the UK is off because today's Boxing Day, so you have like a lot of liquidity in the market where it's Boxing Day for all of the UK, and like a lot of Europe as well. And then for Hong Kong as well, the market's closed the first day after Christmas. Um, and then even in Canada, it's Boxing Day. And I think Australia, it's Boxing Day. Like everywhere, it's Boxing Day except for here. So there's a lot of liquidity that's missing. No one cares. What's the schedule for next week? Is it a full week? I haven't even looked. CME schedule. Uh, so New Year's Day is Wednesday. Wait, no, it's oh no, yeah. Wednesday is the 31st. So next week's gonna be kind of gross as well, probably. New Year's is the 22nd to January 2nd on CME. See what the schedule looks like. New Year's Day. So it's closed. Equities close at 4. Okay, that's fine. The first they open. This is our schedule for next week. So it's just normal. No. This week we had a short day on Wednesday. It's a half day. And then Thursday market was closed. And then Friday it was a full day. So it doesn't look, I mean, unless I'm reading this wrong. New Year's is Wednesday is a full day. Um And then Friday's a full day. I don't know if I understand what they are saying about Thursday. Yeah, I don't know, but it looks like our lows are holding. I would assume that we just rotate up on ES if these lows continue to maintain, just like we talked about. And what's on screen? But if we can flip and reoffer with like a really solid reoffer, that's the only way I'm looking for this to be a solid short, right? It's this bounce and then rejection. That's what I want to see for that secondary leg. I need to be a clear sweep through, not this stagnation garbage. Clear sweep through, and then a reoffer of that sweep for that continuation down. That's the only way that I believe that that sell has validity. Or I just expect this to continue to find a low here where we absorb, and then we rotate up to first target, and then we do full rotations up into our highs. You just got to be aware of that. If we can't sweep below and hold, it's going to be very hard to get that sell side that we want. Especially with like NQ just kind of maintaining our mid to high without having to ever really retest these lows. There's not much here, right? And Russell's just maintaining as well. There's nothing. As long as this pivot's maintaining, I'm not incredibly interested. We can probably move this level now that more structure is developed. Might as well before I dip. Yeah, we can see that that's shifted a little bit. But our two main pivots still maintain. Let's just check where VWAP is before I dip out. Yeah, VWAP's just holding his resistance here. That makes sense. And then our 30-second opening range is just above. There's nothing bullish until we can flip that. So we're just holding VWAP as resistance and rotating up into it while we maintain our low. So no decision's been made. Which makes sense. I mean, again, it's a Friday on a shortened week. Balance is totally fine. Inside day. And I've got your targets if we can ever flip this pivot at 90 and hold it. You should be looking for that rotation up. 10s, 30s, 60s, just like before. But until then, it's just our offer here into 90 to 80. And then your first target is just for this 1-to-1. And then your secondary is just your full rotation back down to the lows. Same as before. We can flip, amazing. If not, it's just going to be a look above and fail, and then rotation back through until proven otherwise. Same thing on ES, just balance until proven otherwise. We want to see very clear rejections or rotations through the highs, and then you want to see sustained bid or sustained offer below if we're actually going to hold edges. Unless, if we don't see that, then expect just a failure and then a rotation back through, right? We need to see clear selling at our edges after initial moves through. I don't want this like choppy garbage at the lows. This is not a sell. This is not a short that you want to be playing because it's too slow. The absorption is happening. There's not a clear seller that's being defined. It's just two-sided trading. We want to see clear sweeps like we saw here. This is a perfect example of a look in and then a very clear sweep through and then a lower offer on a retest that allows for continuation down after a dramatic seller has stepped into the market. We then held, right? And then we continue downwards. That's what you want to see. This is a very clear re-offer of our seller that then led to a continued leg. You want to see something very similar with that sell if we're going to continue downwards. That's why I want this secondary move here, and then a re-offer, and then a continuation if we're going to get it. Right now it's just very stagnant into lunch, which makes sense, but... All right, I'm not going to do anything more. I'm just going to leave my stop at 88 on my runner on ES, and either I get stopped out or it just keeps going down. I'm okay with it either way. There's not much else to do. This is what I'm talking about. All right, we're just in this short from our 84 to 88. I'm just going to keep my stop there and allow this to play. If this could fully come back on me, that's okay. I'm just going to let it be. If it stops me out, it stops me out. Until proven otherwise, this is balanced. So I'm just going to play off that top edge and see if we get the breakdown for that move down into 53. If not, then we'll just be looking for a new all-time high, I would assume, if we can take out our highs. Let me see if I can make some targets for you guys before I actually dip. Okay. All right, these are just some fib targets above our highs. If we can get it, this is what I'd be looking for. If this can flip, well then that would be first target. And then you can look over for more afterwards if on the flip. But I'd be looking for something like that. If you can get that move up. Just take out those highs. Oops. But until then, it's just balance. Yes, levels. And I'll put charts in chat that'll update. But these are just the levels right now. I don't know. That's really all I got. I don't know. We played the balance rotation a couple times. I wouldn't really expect anything crazy. If these lows continue to maintain, if our Russell can't get below our pivot, if ES can't get below our pivot and hold, then just expect that we go up, right? Like it is what it is. So we've defined everything that we can. All right, peace. You guys have a nice weekend. I hope you had a nice holiday, and I will see you all next week. And trading should get better. Yeah. Liquidity should step back in. But yep. All right. Peace. What did you press that lined up your lines vertically? I don't think I pressed anything. I just moved them over with the arrow key. Like this. That's all. But if you ever want to connect something, you can do control and it'll follow the highs and lows if you hold down control and move the line. Maybe that's what I did. I'm not sure. All right, peace.